What do you think we'll be able to learn from China about the way that it reopens its economy?
I think what we're learning is that the reopening on the supply side has to be managed very, very carefully. You don't just turn the switch back on. But more critically than that, you have to be mindful of the most painful aspect of China's reopening, which is getting consumers to come to grips with significant shifts in behavioral norms. When you go to a restaurant today in Beijing, and I just got a message from somebody literally 2 nights ago, you walk into a socially distanced table spacing arrangement. Your dishes are wrapped in plastic wrap, as are your chopsticks. You have hand sanitizer in front of you, and you have masks that you must wear between bites. That is not the most appealing way to normalize the dining experience, and that's indicative of the reluctance to shop and assemble in public places. So consumers are going to be feeling the long shadow of this pandemic for quite some time.
And that means that there are going to be significant economic implications. Government is already stepping in around the world to try and soften the blow. Debt loads are rising as a result, and rising significantly. What are the long-term implications of those higher debt loads? Do you ultimately see them being monetized? We tried austerity last time round, didn't work so well.
Well, that's a great question. I mean, I'm looking at a chart right now that I showed to my class online at Yale last night, where I'm looking at the debt to GDP ratio for advanced economies back to 1880. The prior peak was 120% of GDP in the depths of World War II. We're going to probably hit something close to 130 to 140% of GDP by the time we finish injecting these fiscal relief packages to the advanced economies in the world. How do we get out of that? Probably as we did after World War II, where we inflate our way out. And the risk of inflation, which is not on anybody's radar screen right now, is something to think about over the medium term.
Stephen Roach, I look at what's going on in Washington. We spoke yesterday to William White, formerly with the BIS and OECD. And William White made very clear we have to figure out a way down the road to lose the debt burden, to lessen the debt. Do you have any optimism that we can grow our way out of our additional trillions in debt?
Well, Tom, that's what we did in the aftermath of World War II. The numbers I just cited showed an incredible spike in the debt burden for all advanced economies, and the one we're entering right now is going to be far more severe than it was back then. We had a fairly robust recovery following World War II, and that enabled the nominal GDP to grow more rapidly than the debt burden itself, and so we did come down steeply. And this gets into the notion that we discussed just a minute ago on the nature or the vigor of the recovery. A V-shaped recovery will bring down the debt burden sharply, but the likelihood, in my view, is much more of a gradual U-shaped recovery, and that will keep us at elevated debt burdens for much longer than we would like to think.